Hello, everyone. I'm Jeff Hollan, a product manager here at Snowflake. I'm so excited you've joined this session. We're going to be talking about building with Snowflake Intelligence. Obviously, there's a lot of excitement around Snowflake Intelligence this week with the general availability. I want to give you a brief overview of Snowflake Intelligence, but what's exciting about Build is we're actually going to dive deeper into some of the new features and new capabilities that will help you build agents easier than ever before. Now, if you're newer to Snowflake Intelligence, I do want to take just a little bit at the top to explain some about why we're so excited about Snowflake Intelligence. So, as I have the chance to talk to users and customers every single week, one of the things that I hear time and time again is that organizations are often encumbered because it's so difficult to get everybody on the same page. Everybody's looking at a slightly different glimpse of what reality is. Oftentimes we're slowed down because when we want to understand what's happening in my business, what's happening with my team, I'm digging through a bunch of static reports or waiting for manual analysis. This slows me down. It means that different organizations are encumbered. They're all waiting for that data, for that intelligence, for that insight they need to do their job. We want to change all of that. We want to provide a way where there's a new age of independence, where people are able to get their job done faster. They have access to all of the information and intelligence that they need at their fingertips that they can talk to like a trusted colleague, which is why we're so excited about Snowflake Intelligence. This is your enterprise intelligence agent. This breaks down those organizational silos, and it means that you can now operate in your job, in your function. Your data team can be more efficient because everyone has access to that same data. So this means that now you can see all of these pieces seamlessly pulled together. So we're so excited that Snowflake Intelligence is now generally available across all public clouds and regions. And this really becomes your one-stop home where everyone in the organization, whether you're on the data team or the sales team or the marketing team or the customer support team, can all go to the single polished location and ask questions in natural language and get insights right away. Now, this is much more than just a Q&A type aspect. We've optimized heavily behind the scenes to make this incredibly good at digging deeper into the data to understand the why of what's happening. We've been spending months tuning this orchestration and this agent logic to make it easy for you to deliver that in action. Now, hopefully, you've already seen Snowflake Intelligence in action through some of the keynotes that we had or other forums. But just in case not, I'll show you a little bit of what this looks like. And then, as I mentioned, we're going to spend the rest of the time diving into what it takes to build this. So let's start by doing a simple Hello Snowflake Intelligence demo. So I'm over here now inside of Snowflake Intelligence. This is my hub for all of that enterprise intelligence agents that I have. So here we're working with a supply chain company, and I'm just going to ask a very simple question that's maybe going to impact me as a supply chain manager. I want to understand, hey, which of our carriers has the highest on-time delivery rate? Now, this is not just a question that can be asked with a single little bit of SQL. In fact, you'll notice that as this agent goes through and reasons through, it's actually looking through a number of the different sources that I've connected to my agent. This includes Slack conversations, emails, documents, of course, the data loaded into Snowflake, both structured and unstructured. And it's actually able to automatically query this information for me. So now rather than me hunting and pecking through reports or, picking up the phone or opening up Microsoft Teams or whatever and asking my data team, hey, can you help me understand the answer to this question? I have this new sense of independence. I'm able to ask it and get the answer right away. So you can see here that after a little bit of reasoning, our agent has gone ahead now. But you can see here after a little bit of reasoning, our agent has gone here now and giving me my answer. I understand that Megamove has the highest on-time delivery rate. I can see the performance across my different carriers. It's even generated this to me in a chart that I can explore. This is awesome. And what's powering all of this behind the scenes are these agents running inside of Snowflake that I can use to deploy and let my employees in my organization talk to. So let's now go spend a little bit of time and talk about what this looks like behind the scenes and how you can go about building these yourselves. Okay, so you just watch this happen in action, but how Snowflake Intelligence works is the agent takes in a prompt. The agent optimization loop goes through a bunch of reasoning. It tries to understand how best can I answer this question. It's looking at the various different data sources and tools that it has. This can be executing SQL queries on the user's behalf. This can be searching through documents. This can be running custom tools, whether you want it to take custom actions on your behalf. It determines the best trajectory to get there, provides the best answer, ensures that it has high quality, and then returns that generated response back to the user. Now, one of the exciting things about how Snowflake Intelligence works from a builder standpoint is that this is an entirely composable platform. What I mean by that is you can choose to run with Snowflake Intelligence, take that pre built UI, take that polished experience, and go and deploy across your entire enterprise. It's ready for scale today. But if you want, maybe you want access to some of those underlying components that it's using. Well, for instance, when the agent is deciding how best should I answer this question, what are the right data sources that I need, how do I ensure high quality? Well, that's just using the Cortex Agent API behind the scenes. And you can call that agent API directly as well. In fact, one of the things that we're announcing this week is that all of these agent APIs include MCP as well. So you can integrate these agents into any tool you want. If you stick around to the end of this session, we'll actually show you that in action. At the same time, when the agent's determining tasks like how do I generate a SQL query to go run this data query, or how do I search for documents, how do I ensure that the right governance and access controls are set up, those are just underlying Snowflake APIs that you can call and build individually as well. So it's super easy to get started with agents and just use Snowflake Intelligence, but you have full flexibility. If you want to integrate this into your own application, make it a part of an existing agent, make sure that it's accessible via Slack. Wherever your imagination goes, Snowflake Intelligence and Snowflake AI will let you build it that way. So I want to talk a little bit about the loop now as a builder. So imagine now maybe you're in a data team. Maybe you're responsible for all of that intelligence and information and those truths that are hiding right now that are too hard to access independently. Well, this is often the process we see builders going through. Now, the first step is preparing the data for AI. So there's a lot of work that you can do to make sure that your data is ready. This is both just making sure that it's organized and unsiloed, but also making sure you have the right metadata and semantics so that the agent understands the unique aspects of your business, the unique relationship between different business metrics, and it can provide accurate answers. Once you have the data prepared, you can go ahead and configure the agent. What's exciting about Snowflake Intelligence is you can actually build these agents with no code. Directly inside of Snowsight, you can create a new agent, point to the data, the custom tools, provide some prompts and instructions using natural language, and that's it. All of that hard work we've done to optimize this agentic loop, that just is given to you automatically. So you don't have to dive into coding frameworks or learn complex concepts. Just tell us the data you care about, and we'll take care of the rest. And you can customize it and improve it from there. Now, access is a huge piece of this. And one of the good parts of Snowflake Intelligence is that the agent is not able to do anything that the user would not be able to do. When I asked about carriers, if I didn't have access to a set of the carrier data, the agent wouldn't have access to that data, and I would never see data that I should not see. This also means, though, that you need to be conscious about the different roles and access policies that you've already set up in Snowflake that will be honored automatically through Snowflake Intelligence. So there's tools that we have in the agent creation experience to verify access, but you need to consciously think through, okay, does this group in my organization have the right permissions to view the data that they should be allowed to in this table, to be able to execute a query on Cortex Search, to be able to call the agent, to be able to access Snowflake Intelligence. Each one of these are elements that you individually need to control and plan for. Now, once you start to roll this out, and often we see folks roll this out in an initial pilot with a handful of users, that's when you start to observe. You want to start to see how users are using this, what answers are working, where are you getting positive and negative signals, and where you can then optimize and improve from there. So, one of the other exciting features that we've announced this week that hopefully you got to see earlier today in the keynote is that we now have some new eval loop capabilities. So you can actually create golden sets of answers. You can make sure, hey, I want to make sure this agent can always answer these 30 questions. And when it answers those 30 questions, it should give these 30 answers. And it should use these 60 different tools. And I want to make sure that it's logically consistent. Those are all provided out of the box to make this loop easier. So then you can continue to go and add more data, add more insights, and unlock this new world of intelligence for your users. So I'm going to demo many of this flow here in just a few minutes, but let's just double click on a few of these different processes as well. So you remember I talked about preparing the data. And a huge part of that data preparation is making sure that you have the right semantics around your business. So the semantic view, that's the primary asset that you're going to be using when you're preparing your data for the agent. So directly in Snowsight, you can do all of this programmatically, of course, but directly in Snowsight, you can say, I want to create a new semantic view for Cortex Analyst and start to use some exciting new features. One of the things that we've just rolled out is that when you tell us some tables or some queries that you're interested in, we will automatically go look through your existing query history and see how that data has been used in the past. So for instance, let's say I want to create a semantic view around some financial data. So I add in information about revenue, maybe accounts receiving, you name it. We'll go look through your query history and we're like, oh, we see that this table often talks to that table. We should suggest a relationship there. There's probably some join relationship that exists because I see you doing lots of joins in your query history. We'll recommend verified queries. You can certify certain queries so that users have that added sense of trust and it also improves your accuracy. We'll go suggest some based on your query history. Now, one of the other exciting things here is that often you have a lot of context in existing systems. Think of an existing BI dashboard in something like Tableau, or maybe you have a DBT model set up. We'll actually be able to crawl those metadata pieces for you and use them to automatically enrich your model. And then we have this exciting new optimization loop where once you've taken your initial stab at your semantic view, you can give us a few sample questions you want to make sure it answers really well. And we'll use an agentic process automatically behind the scenes to ensure that we're delivering consistent and high quality answers to those questions. And if we don't, we'll automatically suggest for you where you can improve your model. Hey, we think you should add a metric here. We think you should add a synonym there, add some custom instructions to automatically improve your model for you. These are all called semantic view autopilot. We want to do as much as we can to help you scale these semantic representations and leverage existing artifacts where these might exist. Now, I mentioned before when you configure the agent, this is a no code experience. I have a quick screenshot here in the slide. You can see you have a single spot to add things like your semantic views, your search services. And again, when you create an agent here, yes, it can show up in Snowflake Intelligence. But if you want to call it programmatically through an API, if you want to add it as a tool or add some of its tools via MCP, you're able to do all of that. One of the most powerful building blocks here that I'd encourage you to spend time being very conscious about. We also have a number of documents that we published on best practices are the planning instructions. The planning instructions are where you capture all of the logic. This helps the agent understand what's the business logic that the builder wants me to follow when answering specific questions. So this is a really good spot to put some of that business context and business logic that might not be captured in the semantic layer to help your agent answer even the most complex of questions. So pay attention to planning instructions. And if you need, be sure to check out some of our documentation. We have a number of best practices when writing those planning instructions. Now, I mentioned this before. You need to be very conscious about access controls and who has access to the tools as you're building them. Now, this is a huge feature. You have full control to make sure that every user, you could be scaling this across tens of thousands of individuals at your organization, making sure that every single one of them only sees the data that they should. We use this inside of Snowflake. One of our most popular agents that we've built over the last few months is a sales agent for all of our sales team to get instant access into their accounts, to their customers, what they're doing, what they need help with, and what they could be talking to them about. Well, the way that that works is that we make sure that if you're a salesperson, you only have access to the Salesforce records that you should be able to see. That's all configured via Snowflake role-based access controls, things like role policies. Those are honored by default, but be conscious about them. One of the new features we've just rolled out for Snowflake Intelligence is you can also control which users have access to Snowflake Intelligence versus being able to log into Snowflake. So, for example, if I use that sales example before, I might be thrilled for a salesperson to go to ai.snowflake.com and start to talk to Snowflake Intelligence. But I maybe don't want them to be able to go to Snowsite and see worksheets and settings and all those other tools that are built for builders. Well, that's okay. You can go into the user and you can set the appropriate allowed interfaces. You could say, hey, for this group, for these users, they're only able to interact via Snowflake Intelligence. Everything else, they're not allowed to do. So if they tried to log in via any other tool, it would say, hey, you're not allowed to do this. So this is a really powerful tool for you to have. The other thing I'll just mention here in Access to is you can even customize some of your branding. So as you think about personalizing this for your whole organization, maybe you want to see your own logo there. Maybe you want to add your own accent color to match your own corporate styling. All possible today as well. Now, this is a super critical last step in this flow, which is observe. And I talked through it as well, but I just want to call again some of the exciting features that we have. So in private preview, we have the ability to set these eval processes. Specifically, we can help measure what we call your agent GPA, goal, plan, action. We want to make sure that your agent is moving towards the right goal, it has the right plan, and it's taking the right actions and providing the right responses. So by creating an agent GPA, you're able to seamlessly say for this set of questions or for these set of agents, go ensure that it's answering appropriately, that it's using the right tools. Now, the other piece here that is available for all Snowflake Intelligence builders is the ability to monitor activity. You can grant monitor privileges to an agent, and users can understand what are the conversations that have been happening with this agent. Have people been giving thumbs up or thumbs down? If somebody answered a question, or if the agent answered a question a way you didn't expect, you can actually follow the agent path to understand every step that it took. Why did it execute the SQL query? What did the semantic model tell it about this question? What responses did it get that fed to the eventual answer so you can quickly pinpoint where you might need to make optimizations? Every builder can be given monitor privileges so that you can actually observe what questions have been asked about your agent. Are people giving it thumbs up or thumbs down? And even understand for a specific question, why did the agent answer the way that it did? Follow along every single step that it took, the tools that it called, why it called those tools. So if something is needing optimizations, you can pinpoint exactly where to go. So these are super useful tools available to you as you're building your agent. So I want to now spend some time and actually show this to you in action, show off some of these exciting new features that you probably haven't seen before. So let me go ahead and switch now back to my browser. And we'll start here with Cortex Analyst. Now, this is your hub for creating semantic views. So let's say now I want to add some additional data to my agent. Okay, I have some information about carriers that I want to add into this existing agent for supply chain. So I'm going to come here and say I want to create a brand new semantic view. Let's go ahead and choose a database to add this into. I've got a quick database here, and I will just call this. Oh, I need to switch to the right role. We'll go ahead and make sure I've got a role in a warehouse selected. All right. And we'll just call this my new semantic view just for the sake of ease. Now, as I mentioned, one of the things we want to make really easy for you here is the ability to provide additional context so we can do more work automatically for you. A great example is if you already have some existing SQL queries that maybe you've used around the set of data that you want to do or the set of tables you want to add, you can just add these queries directly in this create experience, and we'll go ahead and comb through them and add the right tables into your model. One of the features that I love that I mentioned before is if I have a Tableau dashboard, like a Tableau workbook, a TWB file, I can go ahead and add that too. So I've already uploaded ahead of time. So I'm just going to choose this Tableau file, which has a dashboard that we've used in the past for some of this data. Now, what's great here is by adding that dashboard, this does a lot of things automatically for me. You can see it's automatically selected the tables that this dashboard uses. So I don't have to go through the work of finding the right schemas and tables. And it's going ahead and suggesting what are the right columns that I should add as well. So let's go ahead and create and save this now. And there's a few other very exciting things that are going to be happen that you'll watch happen automatically as the semantic model starts to be created. So you'll see here it's generating the semantic view. It's actually using a bunch of AI to provide a few things out of the box for me. From Tableau, it's added a bunch of custom instructions automatically. So again, you watch me create this from scratch. It's added the right dimensions. It's even identified a few custom metrics that I had, right? I had a custom metric around the refund amount total that it's automatically detected and added for me. Now, I mentioned before that it can go through and look at things like your query history. How have these tables been used in the past? So I can see a bunch of this information here on the right-hand side. This is saying, hey, by the way, I see that this is the type of question that is often asked. I can go ahead and review it and potentially add this as a verified query into my model. So let's go ahead and add this one there. That seems fine to me. Again, you'll notice it's automatically added relationships. I haven't had to do a whole lot here. Just to show you some of the cool features that we've added as well, let me go ahead and add a brand new verified query. So let's actually say that I have a business concept. Maybe this is a concept that doesn't exist in that dashboard that I want to make sure that this understands more about. So here I want to understand which products are my star products. And maybe I have a query here that defines my star products. Okay, so this has the information about the star products that I have. Well, this might be the perfect way to answer the question of what are star products, but nowhere else in this semantic view have I defined what a star product is. So it's very possible if a business user comes in and they start asking about star products, this might get a bit confused if it doesn't map directly to this verified query. So the last thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to say get more suggestions. What this is going to do is it's going to more or less remove these verified queries and try asking the questions on the semantic view. And it's going to see which ones are going to be answered correctly and where it might need to make some changes. So it's going to take a bit. So I'm not going to wait for this to completely finish, but I can go ahead and now close out of this, come back later. But what's fantastic is when I come back here, I'm going to see a whole new suite of suggestions. All of these suggestions automatically created for me. And in this case, the suggestions are going to provide ways for me to make my semantic view able to understand new concepts like star products. And the way that it learns about that star product is just from the example verified queries that I have. So please go through, add some good verified queries, look at these suggestions, review them, and then try out this optimization step. It's going to really improve the quality of your semantic views. So I can easily then just wire up this new data set to my agent. Now, the last piece that I want to show here quickly in the demo is as you're building these agents, let's say I finish now with my semantic view, I have my agents here, and I have this agent that I've configured with that different data on supply chain and weather. And you can see it's got some custom tools. It does a lot. Well, maybe as I mentioned before, I don't want to always expose this through the Snowflake Intelligence UI. So in this case, I actually have another agent. This is an agent that I created using a popular agent framework called LangGraph. And what I want to do here is I want to go ahead and add a custom tool that talks to my agent through this UI. So in this one, you can see here I have things like web search that I built in as tools. I have all these tools up here. Well, check this out. I can go into my account that has the agent, and we'll provide a managed MCP endpoint for you. So MCP is this model context protocol. It's this open standard so that many AI tools automatically know how to talk to your data source or your agent or you name it. So I'm going to create one here. I'm going to point it to that agent that I created before. I can give it some metadata like a description and a name. And when I go ahead and run this, it will go ahead now and create for me my MCP endpoint. So I can go ahead and use this from my application. So I've added a quick shortcut here. I'm going to go ahead and say to add an MCP server. Here's my URL for my MCP server. I didn't have to do anything to host this. This is automatically hosted through Snowflake. And now I can provide in the right auth token for this to use as well. So we'll go ahead and add this MCP server. And what this will now do is it will add this Stratos dynamic agent now as a tool into this agent. So check this out. I'm not in Snowflake Intelligence. I'm using this own agent, but I'm going to ask the same question I started with at the very beginning of this presentation. Which carriers have the highest on-time delivery rates? And check this out. LangGraph has been smart enough to say, I don't know the answer to this. This isn't some data that I have available. But I see you have this MCP tool called the Stratus Dynamics Agent that seems to be able to answer these types of questions. So it's automatically routed my question to this sub agent. It's the same agent I was using in Snowflake Intelligence. And once it gets back its answer, it can go ahead and give me the answer in the right context here. So I can still always come here to Snowflake Intelligence and talk to the agent and have some of these nice features like automatic chart generation and exploration, but I can flexibly call this system and this tool from wherever it makes the most sense. So I can always go back to something like Snowflake Intelligence and have things like those automatic chart generation and chart exploration. But I also now have the flexibility to call this from any application and get those answers in that context, wherever it makes the most sense for me, even using open standards like MCP. Okay, so let's wrap things up. Hopefully, you've been able to see a number of things. One, how Snowflake Intelligence is the enterprise intelligence agent for your organization. The benefits that it can unlock by providing everyone access to the insights that they need to accomplish their job. Hopefully, you've also seen the powerful tools that Snowflake has provided to make this easy for you to build, to get the data ready to go, to get the agent configured, to observe and make improvements, and flexibly use this across your existing systems. So if there's one thing that I want to ask you to do now, Snowflake Intelligence's GA, go ahead and try this out. If you have not already, I highly recommend our quick starts. One of my favorite, there's a quick start where you can literally create an agent in 5 minutes. You go to the marketplace, you pull in Snowflake documentations, and you can have your own personalized agent that can answer any question about Snowflake public docs or Snowflake features in 5 minutes. So try out a quick start if you haven't yet. We're building a brand new community inside of the Snowflake community forums for Snowflake Intelligence and agents. I'm spending time there every single week. So if you have questions, if you want to share some of the cool things that you built, please join our community. And finally, learn more, check out docs, continue to attend things like Build. Thank you so much for joining today. I cannot wait to see what you all build with Snowflake and Snowflake Intelligence.